Hello and Merry Christmas. And what would Christmas be if we went to a strange house at the end of basically the world, miles and miles from the nearest rail station, miles and miles from the nearest, highway? What would it be like if we spent our Christmas at the end of the world with an ailing host? Oh dear, this is a this is an eerie tale that we have gathered here today with Geeks Assembled audio heads to discuss. This is Stephen Sheridan's drama, full cast audio drama about M.R. James, not by M.R. James, but about him. And his real life encounter with maybe what one could say a zombie. I'm pretty sure that's what it would be considered. Okay, anyway. It's from 2003. It's a BBC Radio 4. Radio 4 does so many good dramas. Yeah. Radio 4 really is the way that radio should be. Jonathan Keeble as young James, Charles Simpson as Henry Gilbert, David Collins as Dr. DeLacy, and John Rowe as M.R. James. Anyway, all those actors did a fantastic job. I just wanted to open this up for discussion. Lee is here. Thank you, Lee. And a very Merry Christmas to you.
To you.
How did you find House at World's End? And please go ahead and, let us know what it was like for you.
Well, let's start by saying it's only 45 minutes long.
True.
So they do cram a lot into the time slot they have. It's pretty well done. I like the way Stephen Sheridan has written this in the way M.R. James would have done.
I noticed that.
Because you get the feel of M.R. James, the way the old-fashioned ghost stories. And I just like the way that he set it, that the character, that one of the main characters in this is M.R. James telling his students ghost stories on Christmas Eve, like he used to do in real life. But this story, at the beginning of it, he says he's not going to make this one up. This is true. This happened to me 30 years ago, which of course is a load of rubbish because this is all fiction.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So so it's
fiction about a real dude.
Yeah. But it's all about a book. And it takes place at the house at Wales End in Cornwall, right down at the bottom of the UK. From as Sue said, so far away.
Almost to Wales.
Oh, it's past Wales, Cornwall. Wales is above Cornwall, but I like this. It's a simple ghost story. but it sort of drags you in because you want to know what's going on. What's so important about this book? Why is the uncle so afraid and so sickened that he's bedridden? Why does he keep his light on all the time? Why doesn't he want to see Dr. DeLacy anymore? Why is Dr. DeLacy so determined to get hold of the book? Yeah, it's a good story. Was it a zombie or was it a phantom? Who knows? But yeah, that's my opening thoughts for this. It's a good 45 minutes of festive ghost story.
Yeah. Well, Henry Gilbert is a rugby guy or cricket guy, and he invites M.R. James to go, who's like studying with him at King's College, Cambridge, and he invites him to go to Cornwall, to Cranley Hall, to meet his uncle Magnus and to celebrate Christmas with him, because apparently M.R. James is struggling with his relationship with his parents, his father, primarily.
Mhm.
Like you do when you go to school. Dr. DeLacy meets the boys there as Uncle Magnus lays and is really, really sick. He's just really, really, he's aging fast and dying quickly. And it all has to do with this guy, Addis, and his book. Addis had a book called Regnum Umbrorum, and that means the kingdom of shadows. And yeah, and it starts off in a bookshop in Cambridge, and then it moves to a library. Basically, a lot of the story takes place in the library at Cranley Hall.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I really love it. And what are your favorite moments?
Well, for me, it's good to hear David Collins. He was a brilliant actor, playing Dr. DeLacy in this. No longer, he sadly passed away a few years back. Everybody knows David Collins from all the cult sci-fi stuff he did, and he appeared in Doctor Who several times. He played Silver in Sapphire and Steel, and he did all these other things he's done. But it was good to hear his voice again, because he has got a very distinctive voice, as David Collins, and to hear him play because Dr. DeLacy is he's going insane as well, trying to get hold of the book.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that was good, great acting from David Collins. My favourite moments. It was just the way he was so determined to get the book. He even attempted the day he died, the uncle died. He was after the book then.
Yeah.
He didn't think anything of it by asking for it. And then it was just after the funeral.
Yeah.
He mentioned the book again.
Yep.
Such determination, and then later on he broke into the library, and it was scattering books all over, insanely searching for the book, all because of he believes that what's his name, Addis
Yeah.
would come back for the book.
Well, sure.
Because, as you find out in the drama, the book was buried with Addis.
Yes.
And of course, Magnus wanted the book. He took it from the coffin, from the crypt.
Yeah, didn't he break his fingers to get the book out?
Dr. Lacey said that they had to break several fingers to get out the book. So this is the whole point, that the spirit, the phantom, whatever it was of Addis, was coming back for the book. He wanted his property. And Uncle Magnus was the first one to go. He was so terrified. And Dr. De Lacey was, I suppose, trying to return the book.
Yeah.
In his bout of madness, which he didn't really explain to the guys. That's what he was trying to do. They didn't believe his story at all, did they really? And of course, poor Dr. De Lacey, he was the second one to go.
Yeah.
With what was it? His heart. What did the policeman say? His heart had just exploded, or heart had.
He had a heart attack.
Yeah. Running in fear, which was, and then of course you get Henry, who's got the book, and he has the worst fears, and that it's something about the book carries something.
Yep.
What it's called? Was it the Kingdom of
Shadows?
So I wonder what the effect is if you're in possession of that book.
Well, apparently a lot of supernatural stuff happens around.
Yeah, it's a good tale. I say it's a simple tale, as I said, but it's just so well done.
Yeah.
And there's no death-defying screams. Well, apart from the housekeeper.
Yeah.
But there's no blood and guts. There's no gore. There's no sex or violence. It's just a simple ghost story.
Yeah.
And it works so well.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my little thing on there. So over to you, Susan.
My favorite moments in this were at the bookshop where they are talking, and there's this guy Jenkins, and he knows all about what Montgomery James wants, and he is basically surrounding him with all of those books, and then and Lincoln and Dorlish are invited to go hear M.R. James tell his ghost story, and they're like thrilled. And then and they end up meeting Henry Gilbert later on in the pub, and it surprises them to no end that this man who is completely bonkers and is definitely touched what the barkeep said and stuff.
Because they didn't believe M.R. James' story was true.
Yeah.
And then there was the proof at the end, the bar at the end of the drama. Henry Gilbert.
Yeah. So it was really well told. And Uncle Magnus, I love the bit where he's laying in bed and he starts to speak, and he just sounds like a little bit of death himself, and then another part that I love is when he's describing the oak tree sounds on the window. And last Christmas we reviewed Ash Tree
By M.R. James.
by
Yes.
M.R. James, and there it is again. And I was like, yes. I love it. I love it when I catch things like that. And then the way that they described Addis as the sweet and disgusting smell of rotting flesh,
Mm.
and the way they described him, the way that Dr. DeLacy described him in the coffin as flesh and maggots in the grave. And then the voice that they all heard, all three of the people who possessed the book heard chasing him. That was great. And then like the possibility that the ghost had pushed the church sexton down the stairs, because he woke up with, or he didn't wake up, but he had a broken neck. And so there was like a lot of cool supernatural things. The voice, the sound of the oak tree or the ash tree or whatever. And then
yards away.
It was yards away, yes. And then there was the return, that they didn't believe James's story, and they were confronted by Gilbert in the pub, was brilliant. That was a nice way to finish it. And so those were my favorite moments. I love the supernatural stuff. I love the fact that the book causes people's bodies not to decay, but kind of to decay.
Slowly decay.
Yeah, to slow it down. Oh my gosh, all that stuff was great. And oh yeah, the library, the second time the library is mentioned, all the books had been upended, and all of the stacks had been emptied.
Yeah.
And so obviously the housekeeper had to put that all back to rights, and then the doctor came in and did it all over again. But the fact that when they opened the door to the library, it smelled the sweet, awful smell of rotting flesh. It's just so good. It's such a good story. It just told so well. And this guy Stephen Sheridan, I really like the way he writes too. And so I'm going to look and see if I can find more Stephen Sheridan stuff, as well as M.R. James stuff. But you have a whole book of M.R. James
oh yes,
stories.
It's a little the complete ghost stories by M.R. James. It's got everything in it: ash tree, casting the rooms, the oh whistle and I'll come to you, my lad. They're all in this. The tractate mid-off. So all good stuff. But this is what every year the BBC used to do. I think we discussed this last time. A ghost story at Christmas.
Yeah.
Based on M.R. James.
Yep.
They used to adapt it and have a drama, or sometimes they just had Christopher Lee sat reading by candlelight the story at King's College. So
at King's College?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Is that where
Yeah,
James went,
I think it was, yeah.
or where he was a professor?
So, yeah, he was a professor at Eton and where was it? Somewhere. I'd have to Google it, but he was a professor at two of the high establishments.
All right, that's great.
So
Well,
yeah,
anything else you'd like to say about
I
House of
just like,
Blues?
I just like as you say, you mentioned Stephen Sheridan again. I just like the way he has really recreated um, the writing style of M.R. James,
Yeah,
and I have to really admire authors, writers who can sit down and recreate some style of author's writing. Be it a detective story, because the original authors are no longer with us, but you get now people are writing new Sherlock Holmes stories or new Hercule Poirot stories, um,
true.
to keep the legacy and the fans sort of wanting more. And this for me, I think is brilliant the way he has sort of got the spirit of M.R. James running through his writing fingers.
Yes,
So yeah, big thumbs up to Mr. Sheridan.
yes,
So that's all I have to say.
that's good. I love I love these ghost stories at Christmas. And Lee got me started, and now I'm going to do it every year for the rest of my life. And
It's got to be Christmas Eve, late at night.
okay, okay,
It's there on Christmas Eve.
will do,
The lights.
will do. Um, let's see. Well, what would you give this out of 10? And what is your final say about our our wonderful House at World's End?
House at World's End. Um, which really, the house has not really got anything to do with the story.
Well,
A misleading,
except for the library.
yeah, a misleading title. But there you go. It's a great title. I think it's a brilliant title. Yeah, I enjoyed it. As I say, it's not too long, 45 minutes, and it flies by. Great acting, great, just great atmosphere for the story. So for me, I'm going to give it 10 broken fingers out of 10.
And then he shows us his fingers. That's so great. Well, I really love this story, and I really love the way it's bookended with Lincoln and Darlish, like meeting him in the bookshop, and then later on meeting Gilbert in the pub, meeting M.R. James in the bookshop and Gilbert in the pub. And that's the way it should be, because Gilbert was a sporty guy, and he probably wouldn't hang out in bookshops with what he's going through. And I guess the moral of the tale is to be careful how you acquire your used books. That was the moral of the tale given by M.R. James in the end of the story. Yeah, it's so good. I really I'll give this 10 ancient pieces of codex literature out of 10. something like the Regnum Umborum. I don't even know if I've got the Latin right, but to heck with it. I don't speak Latin. I don't write Latin. I don't read Latin. I can kind of sometimes figure out what they're saying, but I don't actually read it. I don't know case or anything like that. So, and yeah, the other thing that I'd like to say about this is that it's obvious from the name that they chose for their movie that this and the subject matter of their movie, that this actually inspired Simon Pegg and Nick Frost to do The World's End, because it's all about ending up in a pub and the zombies. So not to put too fine a point on it, this is really a great piece of ghost story, and you need to find these things occasionally. So thanks YouTube for hooking us up, and I really appreciate you joining me, Lee, and please like and subscribe to our channel, hit the bell, and hit the notification to receive notice that we've put out new material. We're doing stuff 2 or 3 times a week, and we look forward to having you join us if you'd like. If you feel up to it, it's always fun. We're doing movies and superheroes and animation. We did a great piece of animation this last week called Klaus, and that was really great, and it was Dutch or
Spanish, I think, wasn't it?
Spanish. You were quite right. It was Spanish.
Our memory is not very good.
Our memory is not very good, but the Christmas spirit is upon us right now, so that's why we're doing these. And we've got another ghost story coming in a couple of weeks, because it's Christmas. We might as well. And we've also recently done a couple podcasts from Richard Curtis, and so we're choosing writers as well, writers who are great. And this Stephen Sheridan is a great writer. He really is class. Anyhow, thank you for joining us, and please, leave comments below and join us on our social media. We're everywhere. We're on Facebook. Lee's got an Instagram. We've got a great Tumblr that is our great neglected Tumblr, and but our Twitter is active every other day.
Yeah.
Pretty freaking regular like, and thank you for following us on that as well. And you can interact with the stars of these things, because we do tag them and at them for their interests, so you can interact with the stars of these wonderful pieces of television, film, and audio. And yeah, so have a very Merry Christmas all over the world, all over the UK. Perhaps spend Christmas in Cornwall, way at the end of the world's end. It's funny, there's a place on an island in the Caribbean where we spent Christmas called Bitter End Yacht Club. So yeah, the end of the world is always there. So anyhow, thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.